Are you starting your day feeling energetic, only to be interrupted by that constant, nagging urge to use the restroom? Do you find yourself waking up 3, 4, maybe even 5 times a night, disrupting your sleep and leaving you exhausted? For millions of men over 60, this isn't just an inconvenience. It's a nightly battle that steals your rest, your energy, and your confidence. You've probably been told to eat more vegetables, to follow a healthy diet. You fill your plate with salads, steamed greens, and roasted roots, believing you're doing everything right. But what if I told you that some of those healthy vegetables are not only failing to help you, but are actively making your prostate problems worse? What if the very foods you believe are your allies are secretly fanning the flames of inflammation inside your body? As a men's health researcher with over 2 decades of experience, I've seen countless men fall into this trap. They are frustrated, tired, and confused, watching their symptoms worsen despite their best efforts. The truth that most doctors don't have time to explain is this: not all vegetables are created equal. Some contain compounds that can irritate your prostate, disrupt your hormones, and worsen the very inflammation you're trying to fight. But there is good news. There is another side to this story. There are a handful of powerful, almost medicinal vegetables that can do the opposite. They can calm inflammation, support healthy hormone balance, and help shrink swollen prostate tissue, giving you back control over your body and your life. In this video, I will reveal the 4 vegetables you must avoid at all costs if you want to protect your prostate. Then, I will share the 4 super vegetables you should be eating every single day to actively heal and support it. One of the vegetables on the good list is so effective, men have reported feeling a noticeable reduction in nighttime urgency in as little as a week. So stay with me. The information I'm about to share could be the missing piece of your health puzzle. This is the conversation your doctor wishes they had time for. Let's begin. Before we build, we must first clear away the rubble. These 4 vegetables, while often praised for their general health benefits, contain specific compounds that can be problematic for a man with an inflamed or enlarged prostate. First on our list might shock you: spinach. Yes, the famous muscle-building green. While rich in iron and vitamins, spinach is also extremely high in a compound called oxalates. Oxalates are natural compounds that bind with calcium in your body. For some individuals, especially those prone to kidney stones, a high oxalate diet can be a serious problem. But it's not just about kidneys. When your body is already dealing with inflammation, as it is with an enlarged prostate or BPH, introducing high levels of oxalates can be like throwing sand into a sensitive engine. They can contribute to systemic inflammation and place extra stress on your urinary system, which is already working overtime. For a man whose primary goal is to reduce prostate-related irritation, bombarding the system with oxalates is counterproductive. Let me tell you about David, a 68-year-old retired accountant. David was a health fanatic. He started every single morning with a large green smoothie, packed with handfuls of raw spinach. He thought he was doing the best thing for his body. Yet, his BPH symptoms were getting worse. He was waking up constantly. His flow was weak, and he felt a persistent, low-level pelvic discomfort. He was skeptical when I suggested he remove the spinach. "But it's the healthiest part of my day," he argued. He reluctantly agreed to try replacing it with a low-oxalate green for just 2 weeks. The result? By the end of the 2nd week, he called me, amazed. His nighttime trips had been cut in half. The constant feeling of irritation had significantly subsided. He hadn't realized his healthiest habit was the very thing aggravating his condition. Why is this particularly important in the morning? Your body's detoxification and filtering processes are highly active overnight and in the early morning. Starting your day with a high oxalate food like spinach can immediately burden your kidneys and urinary tract, setting an inflammatory tone for the entire day. Next up is a summer favorite, corn. Whether on the cob, from a can or as cornmeal, this staple is one to be wary of. The issue here is twofold. It's high omega-6 fatty acid content and lectins. Our bodies need a balance of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Omega-3s are anti-inflammatory, while omega-6s are pro-inflammatory. The modern diet is already dangerously high in omega-6s, and corn is a major contributor. For a man with BPH, which is fundamentally an inflammatory condition, adding more pro-inflammatory fuel to the fire is a recipe for disaster. Furthermore, corn is high in lectins, which are sticky proteins that can bind to the lining of your gut, potentially causing irritation and contributing to systemic inflammation that can manifest in the prostate. Consider Mark, a 72-year-old grandfather who loved his cornbread and grilled corn. He was struggling with severe urinary urgency and the feeling of never fully emptying his bladder. He felt bloated and sluggish most of the time. We traced his diet and found that corn in some form was present almost daily. He initially dismissed the idea that corn could be the problem. "It's just a vegetable," he'd say. I challenged him to eliminate it completely for 30 days. It was tough, but he did it. The change was profound. Not only did his urinary symptoms improve, but his digestion felt better. The bloating disappeared, and he had more energy. He realized the inflammation wasn't just in his prostate, it was body-wide, and corn was a primary trigger. This one is tough for many to hear. The common potato. While comforting, mashed, fried, or baked potatoes are a problem primarily due to their high glycemic index. High glycemic foods cause a rapid spike in your blood sugar. Your body responds by releasing a flood of insulin to manage it. Over time, this can lead to insulin resistance, a condition directly linked to inflammation and hormone disruption. Specifically for men, high insulin levels are associated with increased activity of an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. This enzyme converts your healthy testosterone into a more potent and often problematic form called dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. High levels of DHT are a primary driver of prostate enlargement. So every time you eat that side of fries, you could be indirectly signaling your prostate to grow. I worked with a gentleman named Robert, 75, who had a classic meat and potatoes diet. His PSA levels were slowly creeping up, and his doctor was concerned. Robert was pre-diabetic and felt tired all the time. He couldn't imagine a meal without potatoes. I explained the blood sugar insulin DHT connection to him. We didn't eliminate them entirely, but we made a simple swap. He replaced his daily white potato with a small serving of sweet potato, which has a much lower glycemic index. This small change, combined with others, helped stabilize his blood sugar. 6 months later, his energy was up, he'd lost weight, and his PSA levels had stopped climbing. He learned that managing his prostate was deeply connected to managing his blood sugar. Last on our avoid list is another salad bar staple: bell peppers, especially the green variety. Bell peppers belong to the nightshade family of vegetables. Nightshades contain compounds like solanine and lectins that can be highly inflammatory for a subset of the population. While many people can eat them without issue, for those with existing inflammatory conditions like BPH or arthritis, nightshades can act as a trigger, worsening pain, swelling, and irritation. If your body is sensitive, consuming bell peppers can be like pouring a mild irritant onto an already inflamed gland, preventing it from ever fully healing. Let me tell you about Tom, a 65-year-old who loved making stir-fries and omelets, always loaded with colorful bell peppers. He suffered from a constant, dull ache in his pelvic region and frequent urination. He had tried everything. On a hunch, I asked him to try an elimination diet. Starting with nightshades, he was doubtful, as he'd never heard of it before. Within 3 weeks of cutting out bell peppers, tomatoes, and potatoes, he reported that the persistent ache he'd lived with for years had vanished. For him, the nightshades were a direct trigger for his prostate inflammation. All right, We've cleared out the troublemakers. Now, let's bring in the healing team. These 4 vegetables are clinically recognized for their powerful prostate protective compounds. If there were a king of prostate-healthy vegetables, it would be broccoli, along with its cousins cauliflower, kale, and Brussels sprouts. Broccoli is packed with a superhero compound called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is one of the most potent natural cancer-fighting and detoxification-promoting compounds ever discovered. It works by activating phase 2 detoxification pathways in your liver, helping your body eliminate harmful toxins and excess hormones that can contribute to prostate growth. More importantly, research has shown that sulforaphane can selectively target and kill prostate cancer cells while leaving healthy cells unharmed. It also has powerful anti-inflammatory effects, directly calming the irritation associated with BPH. Consider Frank, a 70-year-old retired teacher who was on watchful waiting for his slightly enlarged prostate. He was terrified of it getting worse. He hated broccoli as a kid and never touched it. I explained the science of sulforaphane to him, framing it as medicine on his plate. He decided to give it a try. He started lightly steaming a cup of broccoli every other day and adding it to his dinner. After a few months, he not only felt better, but he felt empowered. At his next checkup, his doctor noted that his prostate size had remained stable, with no further growth. Frank told me, "I stopped seeing it as a vegetable I hated and started seeing it as my daily dose of protection. It changed my whole perspective." Why is it great to incorporate these vegetables, perhaps even in powdered green drinks in the morning? Because they support the liver's natural detox cycle, which is most active in the morning hours. Providing your body with sulforaphane at the start of the day gives your liver the tools it needs to efficiently clear out metabolic waste and hormonal byproducts, setting a clean foundation for the rest of the day. Our next hero is the humble tomato, but with a very important instruction: it must be cooked. The power of tomatoes lies in a vibrant red antioxidant called lycopene. Lycopene is an incredibly potent antioxidant that has a unique affinity for the prostate. This means it naturally accumulates in your prostate tissue at higher concentrations than almost anywhere else in the body. Once there, it acts like a security guard, neutralizing damaging free radicals that cause oxidative stress and inflammation. Numerous studies have linked high intake of lycopene with a reduced risk of prostate cancer and a slowing of BPH progression. The key is that cooking tomatoes, making sauce, paste, or soup breaks down the plant's tough cell walls, making the lycopene up to 4 times more bioavailable for your body to absorb. I'll never forget Michael, a 72-year-old with steadily rising PSA levels. He was anxious and facing the prospect of a biopsy. He ate salads with raw tomatoes every day, thinking he was getting the benefits. I explained the importance of cooking them. He switched his raw tomatoes for a small glass of organic tomato juice in the morning and started adding tomato paste to his soups and stews. At his 6-month follow-up, his PSA levels had not only stopped rising, they had actually decreased slightly. His urologist was impressed. Michael had unlocked the power of lycopene simply by turning up the heat. This dynamic duo is essential for any prostate-healthy diet. Their power comes from sulfur compounds like allicin in garlic and antioxidants like quercetin in onions. Both garlic and onions are phenomenal for reducing inflammation and boosting circulation. Quercetin has been shown in studies to significantly reduce the symptoms of prostatitis, or inflammation of the prostate. Allicin is a powerful natural antibacterial and anti-inflammatory agent. Together, they work to improve blood flow throughout the body, including to the pelvic region. Better blood flow means more oxygen and nutrients can reach the prostate tissue to help it heal, and waste products can be more efficiently removed. This can lead to a stronger urinary stream and less discomfort. Let's talk about George, 69. Whose main complaint was a very weak and hesitant urinary stream. It was frustrating and embarrassing for him. He felt like his plumbing was clogged. We focused on adding more garlic and onions to his diet. He started mincing a fresh clove of garlic into his salad dressing and adding sautéed onions to his morning eggs. It was a simple, flavorful addition. Within about a month, he reported a noticeable difference. "It's like the pressure is finally back," he said. "Things are flowing freely for the first time in years." He was improving his circulation from the inside out. Our final healing vegetable is often overlooked: the shiitake mushroom. This isn't just a culinary ingredient. It's a medicinal powerhouse. Shiitake mushrooms are rich in a compound called lectinin, a type of beta-glucan. Beta-glucans are famous for their ability to modulate the immune system. Why is this important for the prostate? Chronic inflammation is often a sign of a dysfunctional immune response. Shiitake mushrooms help to smarten your immune cells, directing them to calm down excessive inflammation while still effectively fighting off real threats. They also have demonstrated anti-tumor properties, making them another powerful ally in the fight against abnormal cell growth in the prostate. Consider Richard, an 80-year-old who felt his body was constantly fighting against him. He had BPH, arthritis, and was always getting sick. He felt weak. We introduced sautéed shiitake mushrooms into his diet just 3 times a week. He was amazed by their rich, savory flavor. Over the next few months, he noticed he had more energy and resilience. His joint pain lessened, and his urinary symptoms felt calmer and less urgent. By supporting his entire immune system, he was indirectly bringing profound relief to his prostate. Now, I want you to imagine what happens when you combine these strategies. On one hand, you stop pouring inflammatory fuel on the fire by avoiding things like spinach, corn, potatoes, and peppers. You remove the very triggers that are keeping your prostate in a constant state of irritation. On the other hand, you start actively healing the tissue. You bring in the broccoli and mushrooms to support detoxification and your immune system. You add the cooked tomatoes to flood your prostate with protective lycopene. You use garlic and onions to reduce inflammation and open up the blood vessels. This isn't just addition, it's multiplication. Each action amplifies the others. You stop the damage and you start the repair. This is the synergistic effect that creates profound and lasting change. It's not about finding one magic bullet. It's about creating an entire healing environment within your body. You now have the knowledge. You know the 4 villains to cast out of your kitchen and the 4 heroes to invite onto your plate. This information is the blueprint for taking back control of your prostate health. But knowledge is only potential power. Real power comes from action. I'm not asking you to change your entire life overnight. That's overwhelming and unsustainable. I'm asking you to make one small choice today. Just pick one thing. Maybe you'll swap the bell peppers in your salad for some steamed broccoli. Maybe you'll have a small glass of tomato juice instead of that corn muffin for breakfast. Just start with one change. Stick with it for 14 days and just observe. Notice how you sleep. Notice your energy levels. Notice the frequency and urgency of your bathroom trips. You have the power to heal your body. It begins with your very next meal. If this video gave you a new perspective, please click the like button. It helps this message reach other men who need to hear it. Subscribe to the channel for more science-backed health advice that you won't hear anywhere else. And now, I want to hear from you. Which vegetable will you try adding to your diet first? Or, which one will you be removing? Let me know in the comments below. I read every one, and your journey can inspire someone else to begin theirs. Thank you for your time and your trust. Take care of yourselves.